Good news, we serve a God who moves. Well, it's kind of bad news because he won't stay where you put him. You know, some of us have put him in one part of our life and we said, stay here, but he won't. He'll walk around every part of your life. We have a God who moves. We have a God who walked ahead of Abraham and showed him the promised land. We have a God who led the Hebrew children from Egypt to the promised land, was in front of them with a pillar of cloud in the day and a pillar of fire at night. And what did Jesus promise his disciples? I will be with you. You will not abandon me. You know, psychologists tell us that this is one of the early fears of a child, that they will be abandoned. We see it happen every week in preschool. The parents will take the child just knows, this is where I'm going to be left for the rest of my life. And my mom and dad are never going to come back. I said that in the 8 o'clock service, and a friend of mine pulled me aside, and he said, I got one better than that. And I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I'm married so far over my head, when my wife doesn't answer the phone, I'm afraid she's left. Well, she finally came to her senses, and she's left me, so. We never get over that fear, do we, of having to be alone, of being abandoned. It's not that we are afraid of life being hard. We're afraid of having to do life by ourselves. And the promise is, I won't abandon you. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not be afraid. Why? Because I know a shortcut? No. Why are we not afraid? Because thou art with me. I'm not afraid. The circumstances don't change. I'm still in the valley of the shadow of death, but I'm not afraid. Why? Because you are with me. And because of this, I can sleep well. I can rest. You know what I thought of when I read that passage? Do you remember the story of Jesus and the disciples crossing the lake and they got caught in the storm and the disciples were just sure they were going to drown? And they look at Jesus and he's asleep. So they wake him up. I love this. This is hilarious. Wake up. Don't you care that we're going to die? Wake up. Tell us goodbye. Jesus is asleep. What did he know that the disciples didn't know? What made him so comfortable in the midst of the storm that the disciples were sure was threatening their very life? He knew this verse. You're not going to abandon me. You're not going to let my lion slip into the pit. And he was able to sleep.